Hello, this is Tracy with Walk With Me, and I've been so blessed today to sneak away and walk in my favorite place, just spending sweet time with the Lord and thinking about my life and how gracious God has been and how He's just walked with me from that first day that I said, yes, yes, I need that. I want that. Can I have that? And I was born again. And so I was thinking that in my early years, about 20 years ago, I lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I engaged in I was 30, I was like 28, I think, when I got saved. So, and a lot of the kids were even in their earlier 20s, from 20 to like I was on the older side in this kind of youth community, and we did all sorts of crazy stuff, and it was totally awesome. It was a very hip church, and we were like, singing songs on the beach and through a Christian rave and just cool stuff, feeding the homeless and amazing things. But there was, which to me, I was thinking, well, that's kind of ahead of its time. There was a coffee shop that was kind of like I could call it maybe a nightclub, but it wasn't really a nightclub. It was on the beach. And it just really had like coffee and sodas and snacks and kind of a hole in the wall place, but it was a Christian place. And they played Christian music, but, just all sorts of stuff, fun music and stuff like that. And you dance and just hang out. And it was the coolest thing. Really, like, I don't think it was lattes. It was like drip coffee, but it was very cool. And one night I was there, and this little girl, I'm guessing she was about 5 years old, ended up dancing with me. And to be honest with you, to this day, I don't really know if that little girl was real or not real. She seemed real at the time, but I ended up dancing with her. And you know how you might take a child and kind of embrace arm to arm, and then sort of swing them up and down, and you turn in circles and their body just goes, flying in the air. And so I was doing that with her, and she was looking at me, and she looked at me and she said, "You are so beautiful." And I felt like it was like from the mouth of this child, that it was like from the mouth of God. And I had struggled, just feeling all that stuff that young women feel. Am I good enough? Am I all of it? You know what I mean? It's just the feeling to be that you're never enough. It just feels like you never feel enough. And so, and had been in lots of relationships. And so by the time I got to Jesus, I was about done with relationships. And I was like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Wow, why didn't I meet you sooner? So, but this beautiful time with her. And so I was walking more, and then I was thinking about this other experience at that church. It was Calvary Chapel. And at that church, I must have just been saved maybe a month or so. I was sitting in the service, and all of a sudden, I had this thing come from the sky and go, and it came into my head. And I thought, wow, I didn't tell anybody about it for like several years. And really, to this day, probably I've had conversations over the last 5 years with maybe, or so, I don't know, 8 years, with 5 or 6 people about it. And I had no idea what that was. I later learned, when I read in the book of Acts, that was the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I didn't really walk in the fullness of that. Well, I think I did on a level, but I didn't really understand it. So my mind had not caught up with what the Spirit had done. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about, because I was like, the Lord had really reminded me, feeling like this is a time of the Spirit and the bride, and the Lord coming very near to His children. And so I think that I wanted to just communicate. I wanted to open hearts, open minds to the possibility of the Spirit working in your life in a powerful way. Because sometimes it's kind of a twofold thing, but our spirit, we have to be kind of open to receive it. And then sometimes we have to look at some of the verses, or maybe even hearing this video, to say, you know what? God is able to do the miraculous. And I was thinking about, it seems like this, I hope this isn't making a funny noise. It feels like it is. I was thinking about the woman at the well, because really she had like her cards read, and she had that spiritual moment where she said, wow, you know everything about me. And that was a very spiritual moment. She didn't maybe have she didn't own a Bible, And she didn't have a whole lot of head knowledge, but that spiritual moment, I mean, that set her on fire for Jesus. That she went back and told everybody in her town, I just met the man who told me everything. He knows my life. He knows me more than anybody knows me. And I am so alive because the Spirit of God has touched me in a way that only the supernatural could. And so this is just a short word today. I want to have some time quiet with the Lord, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So be blessed. I know it's a hard time right now, but God is with us and God is for us. And okay, you know how it goes. I do a video and then I start walking, and I've been walking about 10 minutes, and the Lord whispers in my ear, Tracy, you are that woman at the well. You've had many husbands. And then I had that one awesome husband for 16 years. And I was thinking, even in my life, I mean, I repented of that. When I became a believer, I think my first year I spent at the altar. Jesus was probably like, come on, girl, get up and go tell somebody about the love of Jesus. But I was laughing in my mind because I was thinking about this awesome new series. They're episodes through an app called The Chosen. And I don't remember, I watched all 8 of them, you know, kind of binge watched. But I remember in the one scene, Mary is going to go back and tell everyone or something. And Jesus said, I'm counting on it. And I thought, it's like the Lord was saying that to me, Tracy or Mary, I'm counting on it. You go tell everyone you know what I did and what I know and who I am. And indeed, Mary did. So that is my story. And it's a good one. God is good and He's for us. So love you guys. Talk to you next time.